Okay, thank you. Okay. Oh, yeah. Let's get everything set up. Good? Okay, at this time, I'd like to call to order the meeting of the September 27, 2017 meeting of the Coventry Planning Commission. Okay, first item, okay, it's a new agenda, I'm just looking at it. Okay, first we'll do, if you could all please rise, join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, I'll find out all that. Okay. First item, emergency evacuation. The doors behind you folks, the one to my right leads directly out to the hallway where you can make a right or a left to get outside. The one to my left leads directly outside. There are also two doors behind us, folks, which lead into the back conference room where there is a exit door adjacent to the manager's conference room. First item this evening, did we get minutes in our packets?
No.
So that, well, I see item number 3, discussion and interaction on planning commission minutes. So we cannot complete that at this time, there were no minutes?
Mr. Chair, they were submitted electronically, but they were not as part of the package. So if you didn't print them up or read them electronically, you wouldn't.
Okay. Some of us, you know, they've always been in the packet for the 10 years I've been on, and some of the members don't have emails. So therefore they need, so we're not going to act on minutes tonight.
Okay.
Okay.
Motion to table? Second.
Motion second, all those in favor? Aye. Okay, next item this evening, we have discussion and or action on our 2018 Planning Commission dates. You all have a copy of the calendar that was provided to us. Anybody have a problem with any of those dates? Okay. I'll entertain a motion to approve the calendar for 2018.
So moved. Approved, second.
Motion made by Mr. Flynn, seconded by Mr. Mattson. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. At this time, there was an applicant who had requested they be moved around on the agenda because they have another commitment they have to attend to this evening. So at this time, if somebody would please indulge me and make a motion to move the pre-application to DPR for the EMG expansion, Eric M. George DMD, from number 7 to number 1 on the list. I'd appreciate it.
So moved. Second.
Motion made by Mr. Clooney and seconded by Mr. Mattson. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, is there anybody here representing Dr. George this evening, 121 Sandy Bottom Road?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I've got a legal opinion that I have to recuse myself from this project.
Okay, did you fill out a form?
And I have a form.
We'll get it filled out.
Please make sure you handle that. Yes, you have, yes, please. I'd appreciate it if you did. Yeah, they don't have to.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Brian LaPlante on behalf of the applicant, Dr. George. As many of you know, Dr. George was born and raised in Coventry. He now operates a flourishing practice over on Sandy Bottom Road. He acquired the office in which he operates currently back in 2007. And you may recall, some of you, that he was before the Planning Commission back in 2010 and 11 in connection with an expansion of that facility that he bought. That project went forward, and due to his efforts, he needs to expand again. And in connection with that, in 2017, earlier this year, Dr. George, through his company, acquired the property property to the south of his current facility, towards Route 3, the property known as Lot 124.2. And you see, I appreciate your help with the depiction of that. So the application before you is to build out the existing structure into that Lot 124.2, to add additional parking to accommodate both the existing needs as well as, more importantly, the needs associated with that two-story structure that's going on that new lot, that abutting lot. I believe the parking count, Pat, is what, at 90? 81. And so there clearly are some state permits to be procured in connection with the project. Most importantly is the curb cut from DOT, and so the applicant certainly recognizes that we have to go through some state processes, but we're here before you seeking some feedback concerning this submission and to schedule whatever might need to be scheduled so that we can move forward with the project. Obviously, the winter conditions are in mind, just to connect you to the business issues that are confronting Dr. George at this time. He indeed is in need of expansion as soon as possible. Again, due to his efforts and his staff's efforts, they're really exploding, and they need that additional space. He's been a good neighbor and intends to continue to do so. I want to reference just briefly, we did meet with the chief concerning the potential utilization of the property for the proposed police project, and we don't believe that will have any impact on this project, and we're comfortable with that. You can see in terms of traffic circulation, just for your knowledge, the intention is to have the existing entrance there to the north to be the entrance only, and to have it circulate around through the existing parking lot to the new parking lot and out, as is being depicted there. I'm happy to answer any questions, and I have with me Pat Walker, who's happy to answer any other questions that you may have on a technical side.
I think, I think we'll just schedule a site walk. I know everybody knows where it is, but I'm looking at this board right here. There are 4 board members who were not on the board in 11 when this passed. The 4 that, I think I was the only one that was on back then. So they'd like to see it, they'd like to talk to Pat, talk about what's going on, so.
That's fine, that's fine. I'm sure that's not a problem. And to be frank, I don't foresee the submission being made, a further submission being made to be heard by the Planning Commission in October. I think that we're really targeting a November meeting, and so if we can schedule that site walk soon.
I'm going to schedule it in the next 2 weeks, if
That'd be
that's
great.
okay with you.
That'd be great. Get that feedback, that way we can get our
Yeah,
submission.
let me just, I'm getting my calendar up. How about the 7th? October 7th, that'd be not this weekend, but it'll be the following Saturday. Does everybody have a problem with that? Because it's getting too dark now to do them after work, I don't think.
It's dark like 6:30 now.
So why don't we schedule it for October 7th, 9 a.m.?
That's fine.
And that's fine, and if for some reason that it rains, can we postpone to the following, the 14th,
Sure.
with a rain date?
Same time?
Same time.
9 a.m. That makes a lot of sense. That's great.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you for moving me up too.
No problem. Have a good night.
Notwithstanding the ribbing I'm getting.
Objection.
Okay, and, before we proceed, my fault, we have a new planning commission member here this evening. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
And I should have introduced him, but I got so caught up in getting the meeting going. Glenn Anderson was just appointed to the Coventry Planning Commission on Monday evening, so he is our newest member, and I welcome here, and I hope he's ready to have some fun.
Ready.
Oh, good.
Ready.
Okay. Could somebody, here he is. First item this evening for development plan review, discussion, and our action. We have 42 Raymond's Point Road, Steve M. and Mary Ann Walsh. Is there anybody here representing the applicant this evening?
There is.
Good evening, Mr. Baldy.
How are you, Jim? My name is Luke Baldy. I have offices at 445 Budalong Road in Cranston. I'm representing the applicants Stephen M. and Mary Ann Walsh. What they propose to do is they own a piece of property at 42 Raymond's Point Road, which consists now of a two-bedroom, single-story house. What they like to do is tear that house down because it's in deplorable condition and construct a two-story, three-bedroom, 2 1/2 bath, single-family residence. At this stage, they have well water, and an application has been put into Decreed Engineering for repair of the existing individual septic design system. I don't know, this is new to me, coming on a special permit.
It is. It is.
So to us.
Is this the first one?
No, but it's been going on for a couple months now.
All right. Let me give you a little background into Raymond's Point. It's a condominium association. It was formed in 2001. There are 50 houses that are on the 92 acres. The tax assessor recognizes each individual lot, although the town of Coventry only recognizes the 94 acres. So in essence, there are no lot lines inside the condominium association. We define them as occupational boundaries. Everybody has an exclusive use to their occupational boundary. One of the things that we do that's not necessarily unique, but since it's a rural setting and a lot of people have been renovating their houses, which is renovation and also total tear down, we have what we call it a mini zoning board. It's a covenants committee. And that covenants committee is the first step in a process if you want to do any renovations. You submit the plans the same way we do it with zoning, with a simple application, site plan, plans, of course, septic designs approved and what have you. And the covenants committee, I guess, solicits the neighbors, and they have a discussion with the neighbors as to if it's appropriate, if the neighbors have any objections, and then you have to get signatures from your neighbor in order for the covenants committee to proceed and formally approve it. And I think in my packet I gave you the Flat River Reservoir approval and the signatures of the signatories of the two boundary neighbors. So we police inside our own community so that projects don't get out of hand. And then on all of these, the reason we have to go for special use permits to the zoning board is because there are 50 houses technically on one lot. And you can't have 50 houses on, you can't have 2 houses on one lot. So in my mind, it's a way of Coventry, the zoning board and the town, to keep an eye on what they're doing down at Raymond's Point. I've lived there for 41 years. And I'm a summer resident there. This will be my 41st year. And when at the beginning I started the tenants association that allowed us to buy that property. Because there was a state statute that said if you have a tenants association, you're on leased land, the owner wants to sell it, you have a first right of refusal. And that's how all that occurred. And they've been doing a good job down there so far as policing it, making sure you can't cut a tree down on Raymond's Point without going first through the covenants committee. And I can see on the agenda people want to build decks, so everything has to go before you. And my people are in Florida, they're still recovering from that's why they're not here today. Basically, that's the extent of it.
Brian, I have a question for you, if I may, please.
Yep.
This petition is just coming for, he's not coming back before us for development plan review, is my question.
No.
No, this is strictly a recommendation,
Advisory recommendation on the special use permit.
that's all it is.
Correct.
And the way it's brought to us is through the guise of the whole development plan review.
Correct.
Okay, So all we're doing is make a recommendation on the special use permit.
I will point out one thing that I discovered in reviewing is that it appears that this will require an additional variance. We don't concern ourselves here with the interior lot lines of Raymond's Point, but we do concern ourselves with the perimeter lot line around the entire lot, one of which is the lakefront. And it appears in this case that he's a little short on rear setback.
I'm going to address that at the zoning board.
Where do you, what, are you talking about the 9.7?
I'm talking of, there's a rear setback of 90 feet in RR2.
Oh, okay, all right,
It's got 79 feet to the edge of the lake.
okay.
I'm not sure how much of a concern that is for your review, but I did want to point that out.
And Brian and I, Chairman, talked about it. There were 50 houses there. Out of those 50 houses, I think 8 of them have the required setback. None of the houses have the required setback from them. I mean, it's just, and the other thing that I'll add is, I look at this as more or less akin to a planned unit development, where there's a relaxation of sidelines and setbacks and whatever, given the circumstances. The hardship here wasn't caused by the applicant. It was actually, once Coventry accepted the condominium plan, they basically created all these dimensional variances. So it's something we're just going to have to live with.
Does anybody have any questions for Attorney Baldy?
I got one.
Sure.
New septic.
No, new septic.
Yeah.
No. They put it in as a repair.
I know, that's what I was just reading.
Yeah, but basically, I think they're gonna redo the whole thing. When they say, I think they put it in as a repair to miss a couple of steps, but they're gonna put it in a totally new set. They have to. They
It's on
got,
repair, so they don't have to hire a professional engineer to design it.
they got 2.5 bathrooms, so.
Anytime I see a new septic on the water, it makes me happy.
Oh, yeah. Well, down in Coventry, well, down at Raymond's Point, we put in, out of the 50 houses, I think 37 of them have brand-new septic systems, expansive septic fields. I think one section has 17 houses hooked up to one leach field. They have pump ups and machinated drain pumps.
Hey, could you explain to us, please, and I know other people who've come before us on Raven's Point have explained this before, what allows you to put that tank on somebody else's property, not your own?
Common element.
Okay,
So you see, the lot lines that you see, those we consider to be occupational boundaries. All the other property down there, if you have, since it's condominium, these people have an exclusive right inside those boundary lines. They can't, they can do anything they want inside those boundary lines. Then what they did was they reserved common elements. Common elements, the same way in a condominium building, we have hallways and you have parking lots and this, that, and the other. So they reserve the common elements, and on those common elements that everybody has a right to, they put in all the leach fields and the drainage and even on the roads.
and does your board need to approve that? The location of that within the common land?
Yes, the covenants of it.
The covenants?
The covenants. They can't encroach on somebody else's property. Well, let me say this much. When Dupree did the whole thing, the whole 93 acres, they set aside a certain site where that particular house would have their septic tank.
Okay.
And like I'm not on the septic tank, I'm on a pump up. But I have an ISDS that shows me where in the common area they've reserved for me my leach field. That's how we did it.
All right. Anybody have any questions? Okay. Thank you. I should have passed these out earlier, guys. You had no findings of facts in your packets this month. I don't know, I'm sure some of you noticed that. Let me explain to you what I was given these tonight. Could you pass that down to Mr. Colonian, please? I'll give you another set. because we don't have any findings of fact sheets tonight, Brian was nice enough to prepare these quickly. What he did was he looked at the criteria for the DPR, and he spelled it all out. And, you know, you have to decide whether it is or is not for each one, and if it works. And you got to go on the back too.
Yeah,
So
not very comfortable with this, Mr. Chair.
I know you're not comfortable. Okay. Do you have anybody else have any additional questions for the applicant? Anything for us? Okay.
I'm fine.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
thank you.
Mr. Chairman, are you suggesting that any motion has to incorporate in all of these items have to be read into the record? Is that what you're suggesting?
I can't.
Is that what I'm, yes.
Yes, that's what I think the purpose of the worksheet is.
Speak, when you just turn your microphone on, please.
That's what the intended purpose of the worksheet is. I just saw this myself this evening as well for the first time. But some observations that strike me given the presentation, and I think you actually have the information that's on the projector. You have that in your packet, correct, Mr. Chairman? The board has received the specific site information?
Yes.
Okay. I don't have that information, but I would suggest, at least based on the representation that Mr. Baldy provided, many of these, or the rationale behind many of these conditions, is the fact that the property is in essence pre-existing, and what they're seeking to do while expanding the property, they're seeking to better the property and improve the property. I will give you an example. If you look at the two pages stapled together, if you turn and look at element G, it says electric, telephone, cable TV, and other utilities are/are not underground. Obviously,
How do we know that?
well, that's what I'm saying. We don't know that, but given the limited review and the information in your packet, you may not be able to make a determination or a finding of fact on all of these elements. But certainly, if you feel comfortable as a board making a recommendation to support the applicant's request for a special use permit, again, that is granted by the zoning board under the specific elements that board will consider. You can make a recommendation for that based on the presentation this evening.
Okay. I feel more comfortable with that as opposed to using.
If I could make a comment.
Sure, please.
To me, we should have an individual finding of fact for each project. To me, this is not applicable. And we do not have a planning report either. I've been on 11 years. This has never happened yet. So, I mean, I'll make a motion to approve it, but this is not finding a fact in my judgment. So,
Okay, does anybody want to make a motion here this evening?
I asked the question because I was prepared to make a very simple, favorable recommendation as well, based on 2 points. We're upgrading a septic system, and I don't see where the building footprint, despite the size increase, is much different from the one that's there now. And in fact, some of the sideline setbacks are improved. And based on just those 2 facts, I'm fine with the application.
And I wouldn't have a problem if you put that in the forward,
That
in the
is-
form of a motion.
That is my motion.
I'll second that motion.
Okay.
That's his motion. I'm comfortable with it. I agree with Rick. I'm just not comfortable with it.
Any discussion?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, would we have to have a site walk on this?
No. It was explained to me by the staff. At some point in time, on these, they were gonna do a combined site walk from both boards. Apparently that time has not come yet?
Correct.
Okay. And until such time, we do not have enough time to do a site walk,
And
logistically,
your decision is solely as an advisory recommendation on these.
based upon the materials that was submitted to us.
Correct.
Okay. Does that answer your question, Mr. Mattson?
Yes.
Any more discussion? There's been a motion made and seconded. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Good luck, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, next item this evening, we have another development plan review discussion and or action. 166 acres of Pine Road, applicant Randall Bohm, owner Dennis Gutsu. Is there anybody here representing the applicant this evening?
I am, sir. Randall.
You are Randall? Okay,
Yes,
very
sir.
good.
On the GC for that project.
All right. Let me- What is this one? I don't- Just bear with me a minute.
No problem, sir. If I recall correctly, they're all in orange packets. I don't know if that's what you're
Ah, it was the orange packet.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you.
made them color coordinated.
There you go. No, that was good, because as soon as you said orange, I knew where to go. Okay, thank you. Could you just please explain to us what we're looking at here?
Absolutely. There's actually an existing structure on that property. The homeowner is looking to have the original building demolished due to structural issues, multiple floor caving in, rot on walls. There's many structural issues. The homeowner actually wants to expand out, it's hard to see on this picture, but an additional 12 by 20 and leave the original footprint of the original corner of the building. So the building will not move left or right, well, it won't move any closer north to the Naudiello's property. The homeowner does have a brand new septic system, a alteration already approved by the state of Rhode Island, and the well will be getting replaced with a new water softener system and all that, so all that will be upgraded. The homeowner also is willing to have to, I'm sorry, I'm a little nervous.
It's okay.
The homeowner also wanted it to be noted that underneath the addition that they want to propose is already a concrete structure, so there will be no more ground getting covered. So there's already existing concrete structure there, so no more grass or soil will be covered. It's already covered as it is with concrete. The home is going to be a single bedroom dwelling. It's not going to be upgraded to a 2-bedroom. It's just going to be a 1-bedroom dwelling with 1 bathroom. Everything will be totally up to code, new electrical plumbing, everything is going to be upgraded in the structure of the home.
You're going to the zoning board just for a special use permit?
Yes, sir.
Does he ask for that setback to the north? Again?
This is an existing non-conformance.
Right.
He's not expanding.
He's not expanding an existing non-conforming use, so you're, okay. All right.
So it's all expansion of a non-conformance. The setback to the lake is going to be the same non-conformance that's already there.
Okay. Anything else you think we should know?
I'm not too sure, so that's the first
Okay. Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Bowman?
Could I just get into, the well is existing now?
Correct.
You said it was going to have a water softener, that goes to the
Correct.
house. Is there anything else, the well's going to stay in the same place?
Correct, yes. The
Same
well
well?
stays the same.
You know, is it a drilled well?
It's a drilled well, yes.
Okay, and the septic system, you said it was is it
It
brand
is.
new now?
It's good, it's approved right now, they're not installing it until the home is.
Right, so in other words, you told DEM we're tearing the house down and we need a septic system, and they approved the plans for a new system that will be built when you do the house.
Correct, an alteration, not a repair. Yes, sir.
Any more questions?
Similar to my last motion, Mr. Chairman, I have a favorable recommendation, the footprint's not changing, new septic system, I don't see any issues.
And your approval was based on the testimony that was presented to us here this evening?
And the plan, yes, sir.
Okay.
I'll second that, Mr. Chair.
Second? Any discussion?
No site walk on this either, right?
No, sir.
Did Cindy come to ask?
She's not there, but her presence is, so you just keep notice. Any more discussion? Hearing none, take a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, next item this evening, we have 53 Raymond's Point Road. Applicant F. Oliveris Home Improvement LLC, owner Gianna Guinan. Is there anybody here representing the applicant this evening? Brian, were they advised that they had to be here?
They applied. There was no communication from them following the application. I'm sure they were given the date of the meeting.
Mr. D'Agostino, do we act on something where the applicant is not here? It's never been done before, to my knowledge, I'm just asking.
Yeah, frankly, you ought to, because you ought to have the applicant here, because you may have questions. Again, because I don't have the file materials that you have,
Sure.
I don't know what questions the board might have, but
Fair enough.
it's the applicant's obligation to show up and be counted.
Okay, so
You can continue it to the next month and we can call them, or you can just...
you know what? I'm gonna leave that up to the staff to put them on. I'm not gonna continue them. We're
Okay.
just not gonna hear it.
Fair enough.
And I'll let you, make arrangements for them to come back.
Okay.
I do have a question too, and again, further complicating things. Did he do a plan? Do we have, or are we just missing it? Because all I have is a 3-page application on this one. There's no site plan, there's no building footprint, there's no...
Yeah, I got a plan right here.
It's in the...
If you,
Oh, it's separate? Separate from this? Because I have this right here, and that was it. Oh, I see, okay.
I mean, I would
Yes,
call it a
see
sketch
Okay,
as opposed to a
yes,
plan.
yes, okay, I see, they weren't stapled together. I'm sorry, I thought this was another one, just check.
Yeah. All right. So, Brian, you'll,
We'll take care of it.
thank you. Next item this evening, 661 Washington Street, Patty Leone Hart and Ronald Hart. Is there anybody here representing the applicant this
I
evening?
am.
Very good.
Okay, so I own the property and I have an existing garage sitting on the boundary line. I applied for a special permit because it's 40 inches from the boundary line. My garage sits there now for the last 100 years. I just want to extend it. Yeah, that's it. I just want to extend the garage farther back. It'll be the same width, it's just going to be a little longer. It'll be 20 feet long. So I had to have a special use permit because the property's not very square. And because the boundary line is so close to the, I sent all my letters out because it's so close to the boundary.
Special use permit, because it's an expansion of a non-conforming structure that doesn't have proper side setbacks.
Right. So that's the way it's going to be. I'm going to use it for the garage. That's all it's going to be used for. And it's not attached to the house.
And it's on the north side of the street. It's on the same, is this across the street from the liquor store?
No, this is up by the Ice House Flowers. It's right next door to the flower shop, across from the teen center.
Okay.
So it's over there. And the teen center's across the street, and the library's across the street, the old library. So they're across the street, and I sit across there right beside the flower shop. Flower shop's number 12, and I'm 11. And the garage is on the 11-10
Not
side.
on the water side.
No, that's what I was, yeah, they're not on the
Yeah,
water
no,
side, no.
No, I'm not.
No.
Nope, so that's just it. So it's just gonna be added to the existing structure, abutting to it. Okay?
Okay. I don't know, did you have anything to
No, I
add?
have nothing else to say.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions for the applicant? Mr. Clooney?
Well, the existing garage is approximately how wide? from this
15 by
plan?
17 and 10 feet high.
Right, 15 by 17, and then the addition is going to make extend the 17
Right.
to,
Yeah. I'm gonna add on 20 feet, so it'll be a total of 37 feet long.
so it's going up Okay, so it'll be over double the size of the current structure, because it's going from 17, 20 more, so it'll be
Right,
larger. And
yes.
then is that 100, it just says 100, what is it, 40 feet from the back property line?
Yes, it's 140 feet from the back of the property.
140 feet?
Yes,
Okay.
it's 140 feet. I have 370 feet from the street.
So the issue is the sideline setback?
That's it.
Is that correct? Because it's supposed to be in that zone for something that big is what, 15 feet? As opposed to,
10 feet for an accessory structure.
And I'm 3.5, but that's the special permit that I'm asking.
all right. And is this going to be for vehicle parking?
No, I'm gonna fix things like it's a garage, like, no, it's not gonna be for vehicle park. I have another driveway.
No, that's what, I just wanted to know what type of activity is going to take place in the garage.
I'm gonna store my lawnmower, my tractor, and...
Storage then?
Yes.
Primarily storage?
Right,
It's not
right.
going to be a workshop or a business? or
No,
anything like that?
absolutely not, no business, nothing
Alright.
like that. I don't need that.
Anybody else have any questions? Hearing none, if anybody wants to make a motion, I'll entertain any motion.
I'll make a favorable recommendation to zoning for passage.
Based on
Based on
the
the
plans that were
plans were
submitted,
submitted.
the documents that were submitted and the testimony provided.
Yes.
Is there a second to that motion?
I'll make a second, Mr. Chairman, but I do have one follow-up question.
Okay, any questions for discussion?
Uh,
Mr. Clooney?
Yeah, is there also a shed on the property besides?
No, the shed the shed's been there for years. It's hooked up to the garage, so I'm just gonna knock that down. There
Thank
go.
you.
That's what your question was? Yeah, that- yes.
So you're basically replacing that storage area with a
Right.
larger one?
Yes,
Thank you.
there you go.
Any more discussion? Okay, we'll take a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Good luck.
Thank you.
Next item this evening, we have Town Farm Road, John Siopoulos, owner Town Iozzi, an application for a special use permit. Anybody here representing the applicant?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, John Mancini on behalf of the applicant and the owner with regards to its request for a special use permit as well as development plan review. Our purpose here tonight is to essentially establish a site visit. I think we feel that it would be most beneficial if the board had an opportunity to walk the site and visually see what the proposal is. So we want to set that forward before we come before you again at the next meeting for our development plan and proposed recommendation for the special use permit to the zoning board. Essentially, it's a gun and bow range. The structure will be built, it's on 80 acres, but it's something that really should be viewed by the board before it kind of just looks at the
And
plans.
that's on the airstrip property.
That's the airstrip, that's exactly right, and that airstrip becomes now very conducive for a simple gun range and arrow. You'll see where you basically, the site isn't going to change much. And the buffers are there, and so what we want to do is kind of show you, walk it, and kind of get a sense of how it's going to work.
Just for the commission's edification, although the one lot is highlighted in yellow, the site also includes these two lots up here as well. The GIS system just doesn't allow me to highlight multiple lots at the same time.
Oh, so those two those lots are part of the...
Correct.
Each
Parcel.
part of the parcel.
Okay.
Correct, and if you see our proposed site plan, you'll see that it is squared off on the top. And we're including that as part of our application. That's lot 81 and lot 3, lot 81 and 1601.
Mr. Flake?
If I could ask a question, is this the same parcel that was approved for development?
I do not know that.
I believe we had approved a subdivision for this property.
Okay. Oh, that's right.
With Attorney John
residential site.
Baglerini.
Yes, okay. Yeah, you're right.
So my question is, are you pulling that?
Well, if we get this, obviously it'd be a little bit difficult for us to build residential dwellings.
I know,
In the
but
midst
it's
of a
already
gun
been
range.
approved for that spot. It's just, it's an outdoor, right?
Mhm.
right, so you just want to schedule a sidewalk. Mr. Flynn, I know, could you fill in?
My calendar.
Well, let me just tell you what we did while you were not here this evening. We scheduled a site walk for Dr. George for the 7th, which would be a week from Saturday at 9. Do you want to do one at 10, or do you want to do it the following week? We do
10.
Well,
All right.
10?
let's say 10 o'clock, with again the rain date of the following
Week.
Okay, 14, okay.
10 a.m.?
Yeah, 10-7 works.
Okay,
Thank you.
Okay.
thank you. Okay.
Is anyone considering that there's houses on Mile Road and like gun shops will be heard?
Ma'am, all we're doing is going to look at the property right now. We didn't vote, we didn't hear any testimony.
Okay.
We just scheduled a date for the board members to go take a site walk and walk the property.
Okay.
That's all we've done here this evening.
Are you also aware that after the berm, there's supposed to be a mile of no houses or buildings?
I think we will,
You'll see that, okay.
I think when the applicant comes before us for development plan review, we'll get into all that technical stuff. And you, as an abutter or a resident in the neighborhood, will be allowed to come up and ask us those questions if we don't give you the answers you want to hear. Okay? All right, thank you. Okay. Under old business this evening, we're on number 8, planning application, discussion and interaction. We have a pre-application continued from August 23rd for Willow Lake Properties LLC, New London Turnpike. Is that being heard here this evening?
That's being continued. That's also being continued.
Well,
Brian.
For the commission, I advised the applicant's counsel that we've continued this an awful lot. It's only on, I believe, for pre-application. We're just going to pull it from the agenda, and at such point in time as the applicant would like to put it back on, they can contact us to put it back on.
Okay.
But I think it's unfair to community members who, to be required to keep an eye out on the agenda
Sure.
just to have it ticked over.
And I know certain individuals who show up every month hoping it's going to get heard, and they find out it's not.
I think I might know who you're talking to.
Okay, very good. Next item, 8B, master plan, public informational meeting, continuation from August 23rd, 2017, Crumpton Meadows, LLC. Good evening, Mr. Mancini.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. For the record, John Mancini on behalf of the applicant, Compton Road and Compton Meadows LLC. As the board recalls, we've been here at several hearings and presented the initial application of 156 units. During the presentation, during the process, we have also presented to the board a traffic study. We've presented a fiscal impact study and have gone through the site layout. Some of the issues that have arisen have dealt with regards to the impact study and have specifically also dealt with respect to the traffic report. And more specifically is the uniqueness of this parcel and this development, which encompasses 2 municipalities, the town of East Greenwich as well as the town of Coventry. As you know, the development, and the majority of the development, is within the town of Coventry. However, our access point is in the town of East Greenwich. So East Greenwich has had some questions and concerns with regards to our traffic report. We have asked for continuance on a couple of occasions to allow us an opportunity to revise our... Sure.
Steve, would you take it out? Thank you. Sorry, I just couldn't.
Sorry about that. So you've indulged us in continuances in order for us to work through the traffic. And as a result, we have met on numerous occasions now with the town of East Greenwich, have had the town of East Greenwich supply us a peer review of our traffic report. And Mr. Tice, who represents the town of East Greenwich, will be able to better fill the board in on some of the findings that they've had. But I can tell you that we have an agreement in principle with respect to our traffic report. It has been revised by Mr. Bannon. We will present to the board a revised traffic report and also have the town of East Greenwich's comments with that. Initially, our position and that position has not changed, and that is that we do not believe that East Greenwich has jurisdiction over the project. However, in spirit of cooperation and ensuring that we have a positive project and let the process unfold, we have met with East Greenwich and believe that we have successfully met their concerns and addressed them with the traffic report. The second issue deals with the fiscal impact study, and I think that a lot of the concerns with the fiscal impact study really center around the amount of units being proposed. The development that we're proposing is 156 units. And speaking with the town of East Greenwich with respect to traffic, as well as taking specifically your comments that we had at the last hearing, which dealt with the fiscal impact study, we've had an opportunity to go back and we will present to you tonight some of the revised findings that we have with regards to the impact study. Also taking into account some of the internal traffic discussions that the board had with us with regards to circulation, as well as some of the concerns that other residents, both within Coventry, East Greenwich, and West Warwick, because this parcel, as I noted before, is very unique because it's surrounded by 3 different municipalities, or rather 2 different municipalities, but the heart of it's in Coventry. So by way of getting all of that information together, what we're now proposing for solicitation of some additional comments from the board, and that's solely what we're doing tonight. So I'm not taking off the table my initial 156 units. What I want to do is to show you a proposed plan which comprises of 80 units, a revised traffic report, which has been reviewed now by the town of East Greenwich and their traffic expert, as well as a revised fiscal impact statement that takes into account now the 80 units. With that, if the board has no questions of me with that, with what we've kind of, with what we're going with, I'd like to bring Ben Cato in to kind of go over quickly with you kind of what we're thinking of and what we're proposing as an alternative with this 80-unit development, how the circulation works, the size, so we've also reduced the bedroom counts. Then I want to have the fiscal impact study also addressed to you, and we have a package of that information. I apologize for not getting that to you sooner, but what I wanted to do is not confuse the board by saying, okay, we want to remove one development. What we want to do is have a discussion and see if we can pick between the 2 developments and get your input with regards to what we're proposing now on the 80 units, and also get the also have you have the benefit of the feedback that we received from the town of East Greenwich and what their concerns are and how we have addressed them.
John, before you proceed, there's only 6 of us here this evening, okay? One, this is his first meeting. He has heard no other testimony.
Yeah.
Although he has been here for the meetings, he has heard no formal, he hasn't been sitting on this side, he's in the audience.
Right.
We have 3 other members who have sat here through months and months of presentation. I'm not so sure that we're going to be providing you with any guidance here this evening.
And nor do I think you could.
With the lack of these 3
Yeah.
members not here. Especially since I've had if you recall, I had a ton of questions regarding the fiscal impact. I've had no time to review it.
And I agree. Norm, I mean, you haven't really seen anything, so it's really hard for you to give any comments.
Right.
But I think what was helpful at this point is for you to listen to some of the information.
That's fine. I just wanted to
get that information.
I thought you were going to get
no.
from us some sort of guidance.
No,
I just wanted to put you on notice that you weren't going to get that here this evening.
I don't think I'm going to get, what I'd like to do is get your initial reaction to it and get some ideas and some inputs on that. But obviously that's superficial at this point, given the fact that you're really reviewing it for the first time. And also given the fact that you don't have 100% of your quorum here. So, and for that reason, we wouldn't even be moving on a full vote with regards to our 156 unit proposal because your quorum's so slim. Okay. With that, I'll let Mr. Cato just kind of run through the plan.
Okay.
Good evening, Benjamin Cato, registered professional engineer, Millstone Engineering, Warwick, Rhode Island. Mr. Chairman, I have copies of this plan that I can distribute if you don't mind.
Please, we're anxious.
Make sure I have the right bundle here.
way, Mr. Banner, your timing was impeccable, of course, as always.
So as Mr. Mancini mentioned, after extensive conversations with this board and with the town of East Greenwich, we came up with an alternative design for this property that we think satisfies some of those comments, certainly alleviates some of the concerns, also making the project continue to be viable. You'll note that the general layout doesn't change with respect to road configurations. We're still proposing a dual access ingress egress on what is the top left corner of the site. That's the southwest corner of the site. But we've added a secondary entrance point down to the east. That's a one-way in. That came from recommendations and discussions from the traffic standpoint. It improves circulation. It provides the safety requirements and the necessary safety requirements from a fire and rescue standpoint. It also alleviates the need for an emergency access into the adjacent West Warwick neighborhood. That would just, what I'm showing on this plan is still, you can kind of see it there, as staff is pointing out, but it's just a utility access only. It wouldn't be a vehicular access point any longer. The most, I think, obvious change to the plan would be the units themselves. We reduced the units substantially to 80 units, and they're all single-family detached units. These units have 2-car garages and 2 bedrooms.
All 2 bedrooms?
All 2 bedrooms.
No 1 3-bedroom?
That is correct.
Hold on, Mr. Flynn, just
Sure.
a question.
Square footage?
I believe it's shown on here.
Kind of mirroring what's on Hopkins Hill, kind of.
41 by 48, general overall, 1,500 square feet. So the layout from that perspective enabled us to kind of shift some units around, parking shifted around a little bit. The dumpster enclosure went away because everybody's got their own garages now. It just made it more of a neighborhood feel. So you need to have that commercial component, we thought, at this stage. In your packet that I presented to you, there is not only the site plan that's on the screen, but also the architectural. So there's a rendered elevation view of the units as well as a floor plan. And I just make sure that you note that they are separate units. There is some green space between them. If you look at it quickly, it kind of looks like might be a duplex, but it's not. They're all single-family residential. That's the rendering there. So that's the latest design. Again, came from discussions with the town of East Greenwich and as well as the traffic study. With that design, there are some changes. As I've mentioned, the dual access, the emergency utility easement, or for lack of a better term, to the neighboring property, so the roadway in West Warwick. And the applicant is asking for a 10% affordable component for this project. There was also some changes to the waivers that were requested earlier in testimony. Without going through them all, I will tell you that the waivers that changed based on density count. Some of the monetary and financial waivers that we asked for were based on unit count. The calculations are based on unit count. For example, the application fees are unit-based. The fair share development fees are unit-based. The sewer assessment fees are unit-based, and all of those came down substantially because it went down to 80 units. Also, one of the relief requests that we had asked for prior was based on a fiscal impact analysis, but we've since provided that, so that waiver just comes off the table altogether.
Could you just take a breather for a minute?
Absolutely. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Actually, I'm going to direct this towards our legal counsel.
Sure.
I thought I just heard them say that they want to do 10% affordable on this project. If they're doing 10% affordable, they don't meet the requirements of the comprehensive permit, which is 25%. Would you agree with that statement?
I would agree with the statement as presented.
So, this board does not have the right to increase the density that they're looking for, because off the cuff, without reading, I'm just hearing this for the first time, I'm not so sure that this is still a comprehensive permit application.
I'd like to hear from the applicant about that, but I would agree with you, based on what they're representing, they're no longer in that percentage that would fit within a comprehensive permit. The question I had, again, and as the board knows, the applicant has been very cooperative with regards to allowing extensions and so forth. I think we need some clarification to make sure that we're still talking about a comprehensive permit process.
We are, and in reviewing the town's regulations, it doesn't seem that there is a mandate of 25% for a comprehensive plan permit. So there's that gap, and you can find that on the affordable housing documents, and there's not, it's on page 38, the mandatory inclusion zoning ordinance. So I think that's an issue that the town solicitor and I can discuss, but I don't see that as a requirement for a comprehensive permit. It's an affordable housing issue. And that's, again, that is something that we're going to have to discuss.
I think, Mr. Chairman, it's something that we obviously will discuss.
Oh, yeah.
And we're coming back, obviously the applicant's coming back anyway, so.
Right.
Right. I'd like to hear what staff has to say, also,
Absolutely.
I'm not, okay. Do you have anything else, Mr. Cater?
I don't believe so.
Anybody have any questions for Mr. Cater?
I'll try to keep it general because I know you're coming back. Actually, I have two observations and one question, but since we were on that last topic about the, whether it's 10% or 25%, were the units any different at all whatsoever? Like, or were you just kind of?
Would they be?
Yes.
So the state statute prohibits the units to be noticeable from the road. So the exterior furnishing, the exterior of the building cannot look different from any other building. You should be able to pick it out from your car.
Well, the plat I'm most familiar with, for example, the Colonial may be the same, but there's no garage or there weren't other amenities. So I just wondered if there was
These units are all,
they're all going to
the
have
same
garage
footprint.
regardless. They'll all have the same footprint. It'll mostly be the amenities inside the
Correct.
unit. That would be different. Okay, that was my question. And just an observation, and just maybe to revisit a few things. I think over the last few months when this has come before us, we've talked about school bus stops, whether or not that's applicable or not. Ron said something off when he said, oh, very similar to Hopkins Hill. And I like the concept, by the way. I like the houses, I like the concept. But if you notice when you enter, I think it's Dante Drive off of Hopkins Hill, they have that nice little spot where everyone's got their mailbox and you can kind of pull off the road to get out of the way. And I just don't, I don't know if there's any accommodation, so it's just a thought. I don't know if you have, whether it's on Crumpton Road, you want to have some type of a turn off, or after they get into the entrance, or maybe both.
We can,
And we talked about sidewalks. And those aren't things that you need to address, they're just, I just wanted you to have that in the back of your mind.
Sure.
For the next time when you come back and everybody's here.
okay.
Anybody else have any questions for Mr. Cato? Thank you.
Just to address that issue, one of the things that we are going to come back with, and we weren't able to do for this session, is a bus stop. One of the comments that was made and also brought up by the town of East Greenwich